Agents Podcast.
As the world continues to evolve, there's all these new ways of marketing. And you've got obviously social media, which is to me the innovator of all things marketing nowadays. And it's really been hard, especially in our real estate industry, for people to evolve because we've been doing it the same way for 30 years. And so today I'm bringing on a guest that I'm frankly kind of want to challenge a little bit because now it's going to be me, this Mr. Tech guy, get in front of the camera, do all these funnels and do all this cool thing, these advanced things. And then I'm going to come talk to Curtis, who sends out cards. Now I'm totally downplaying that in a fun way. Hopefully Curtis understands that. But I really do want to talk about this today because the thing is, and my guest today is Curtis Lewsey with AM Cards. Many of you know him, but we're going to talk today about how appreciation marketing and how sending out cards and how hitting your customer with that the feels right that isn't digital because it is becoming diluted, and why it's still so incredibly important. Because I got questions for Curtis, because I also firmly believe those of you that think like me and you're living in the digital age, it works really well with things like sending out AM cards. So welcome to the show, Curtis, man. Great to have you here.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Love what you guys are doing. Lab Code Agents. Been a big fan for many, many years. Your media company, Drunk on Social, big fan of everything you're doing. So it's an honor to be here.
Thanks, man. So let's rewind the clock. So a lot of the guests that I speak to, I don't know them from Adam. When you came across my desk, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's chat. And frankly, a lot of the times, Curtis, when I interview people, sometimes it's selfish because I really want to ask questions because I've got all these businesses and I want to know, should I be integrating some of these things in? What am I missing? And I feel like as an interviewer, I can now ask the questions that I think a lot of people are thinking. And that's what I want to do today. But I want to start with, as you mentioned, you wrote a book called Appreciation Marketing. It's what created AM Cards. You guys get that? Appreciation Marketing, AM Cards, right? And so tell us about your background. Obviously, I just, touched on it, but what led you to this, what you're doing today?
That's a great question. Thank you for allowing me to share. So I worked for a company right out of college called Cintas Corporation, and I sold really sexy products door to door, like air fresheners, soaps, toilet paper, paper towels. And so they wouldn't just supply leads. I had to go out there and generate all my own leads. So I was knocking on every door, every store, and every floor. And about 6 months in, I realized one of the biggest competitive advantages in like all of business and in life, saying thank you. And I think that although it seems like common sense, it's not common practice. And if you want to separate yourself from the competition, just simply slowing down a little bit and showing appreciation and gratitude, it goes a long way. And so I was doing is following up with these people after I met potential clients, after meeting with them, just sending them a card. Jeff, I appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. And I put a picture of their business on a card or something and sent it on out. And then when I was following up, it was on their mantle, or not their mantle, it was on their desk. It was sitting there. And I've had people straight up tell me, hey, you weren't the cheapest. I like you. I believe in you guys. And like, I want a lot of business that way. So I went from wanting to quit to #1 in the country out of 1,250 sales reps nationwide, just by working smart, by following up and staying in touch, but then also working hard by just slamming the phones and knocking on the door. So I took that old quote from Jim Rohn: what you lack in skills, you can make up in numbers. Yeah. So I was green, wet behind the ears, just making the dials. And then it worked for me, and the #1 sales rep, he was making twice as much money as us and working half the amount of hours. And I thought that they were just supplying him leads. Think in real estate, you're in a brokerage, somebody's crushing it, and you think, oh, they're going to play golf and they're eating dinner all the time. They're driving around their fancy cars. They never seem to be working. Well, they got something figured out. And that is relationships. Like, they have a steady flow of business coming to them because of the way they've showed up in people's lives. So you get a lead by what you do, generate all this stuff online and all this kind of stuff. You earn referrals by who you are and how you show up in people's lives.
Yeah, that's powerful. Say that again. You get a lead by what you do.
Yeah, you get a lead by what you do, but you earn referrals by who you are and how you show up in people's lives.
And I don't want to, that's a conversation in and of itself. I want to stay on the path. I want to get back to that though, because, we are an industry of, you get into the business and you're basically taught, create this list of SOI and then just go pound the hell out of them. Which
That's
that's
right.
another conversation that I want to discuss, but I want to stay on your past. So you're selling toilet paper, air freshener, those sorts of things. You figured out that obviously it wasn't that you could just vacate the prospecting, right? The lead gen, but what you learned was the gold was in the follow up. The gold was in the thank you, right? So kind of where'd you go from there? I mean, you became the number one in the country. Then what happened?
Yeah, and in that kind of company, you're tied to Wall Street, so you're only as good as your last sale. You start over every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year. You start at zero, and so after a while, you get a little burnt out. And in those type of environments, you either move up or you move out. There's no in between. And they wanted to promote me to sales manager at 24 years young. However, they lead you on too. They're like, hey, if you just hit your numbers for 6 more months and then you do it, and then like, hey, just another 6 more months, and like I seen it happen to so many other people, and I said,
Sure.
I don't want to play this game. So then I joined a BNI, and I actually was in a network marketing company because it was called Send Out Cards. Wonderful company. I was actually with that company, and I built an organization of 13,000 customers and distributors with my co-author of the book, Tommy Wyatt. And that was a wonderful run. Met a lot of wonderful people. And then, things happen and they made a lot of changes. And I found myself out of that company. And then 2 years after, I just felt there was some unfinished business. I wanted to dust off my book. And so I wanted to build something that was not network marketing, something that I could talk to people like yourselves or owners of companies and not feel, and it was like, I knew what the customers wanted. And so I hired a programmer and went to work. And it was really tough in the beginning because I bootstrapped it, hustled. But, all this stuff that we're talking about is all common sense. It's just not common practice. And what we're doing is just kind of marrying old school proven techniques.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, greeting cards have been around since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
We just happen to marry it with new tech. And
Yeah.
when you take old school and marry it with new tech, you got something that can be pretty powerful.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about that because I mentioned that in the beginning is how to bring the two together. Now, staying on your past, you mentioned send out cards, and then you said 2 years. What'd you do for 2 years?
I actually helped open up internationally another MLM over in Australia and build a team, do some international expansion with a Dead Sea skincare product. I love the CEO, did some stuff there. And then, just felt like it wasn't my jam. So I kind of, although we support the MLM network marketing industry, it was just something that I wanted to build on my own. And so so yeah, I just went off and I
Got
said
it.
that I think there's a real niche. I think there's a real niche here.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you have your background in MLM, which
Yeah.
immediately makes me think about, a couple of prominent real estate companies, that there's probably many listeners from those companies here. And they do not want to be called MLM, I don't think. But it
No.
works really well. And we don't have to talk about that, but I think that's important to note. And I'm noting that because your understanding of that will make you an asset to those agents. So anybody listening,
Absolutely.
I should get a
I mean,
commission on that actually, but since I just brought that up.
yes.
Um, now, okay, so then you're doing skincare and you left send out cards and you had written appreciation marketing. And so now you're like, all right, I got some unfinished business. What happened next?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was I was generating enough money to pay the company bills, just not my own bills. My wife tells me she was pregnant, and I was like, "Oh boy!" So there's actually a gentleman here in Central Florida, pretty big business tycoon, and I think a lot of people in your community know who he is. His name is Robert Palmer, and he started a real estate tech company called Listing Power Tools, and he started printing all of my cards as a just to help me. And he saw a lot in me. So he started printing my cards. I was very grateful. He cut my
Wow.
costs, didn't even charge me for labor. And then when he released this listing power tools, I felt like kind of law of reciprocation, if you will. I went to all my real estate brokers that I had on with AM cards and I brought the product. And then he made me an offer I couldn't refuse to come on board to be head of sales. And we grew it from Geez, we grew it. We grew it tremendously up to as many as 15, 16,000 members and traveled the country, built a team. And then he pivoted. Many of you guys know about the pivot because he has a real estate company now. And I went back to AM cards. And based on what I learned through osmosis with what he did, he gave me an Amex Black card and said, go to work. So I found sponsorships. Actually, LCA was a sponsor. Like we were there at some of your events.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we grew that. And then he pivoted, and then I went back to AM cards, and then we crushed it. We 10x'd our company from 2018 to 2019 by some of the strategies that helped him and the relationships that I built. Made some phone calls, got on stages, and just kind of swapped his product out for my own product. And then I was able to buy my own buildings, get all of our printing and finishing equipment in house. We have a nice team now, and so we really focus on our API. So like there's things that, yeah, so that's kind of like the history of where we're at. It's exciting.
That's cool. That's cool. Actually, but just reminded me, I think the first time we met was probably in Detroit at an LCA. I think it might have been our last LCA one event actually before COVID. So yeah, small world, huh? How about that?
Yeah, and that was there for AM. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, and that was probably 18 or 19. I'm not sure what year it was, but it was around then. Yeah. Interesting. All right, so let's get back to, kind of discussing the general psychology around sales. And
Yeah.
I've already touched on it a little bit. And I absolutely, we're going to go down. I want to know a hell of a lot more about AM cards and some of the best strategies that are working. But first, let's touch on that psychology. Let's talk about that because, as you mentioned, so many salespeople, and let's just call it what it is. I mean, real estate agents, we're salespeople. It's up to you what you're selling. Are you selling yourself? Are you selling an experience? Are you selling a house? What are you selling? You decide, but we're so focused on the sale all the time. And you even said it, like even in your previous career, it was kind of a dead end. It's always starting from zero. And there's probably a lot of real estate agents that feel that way. They're always starting from, you shouldn't be, but you might be. And so share with us your experience and kind of your thoughts around, kind of how to shape your mindset if you're stuck in that way of I'm constantly feel like I'm chasing and I want to get out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest misses in business is not staying in touch after the sale for repeat referral business. Because see, there's two main reasons why somebody's not going to come back to do business with you or refer you. Number one is they don't remember you. And there's a crazy stat. I don't know exactly what it is. It's something like 80 or 80% of real estate or people who bought a home don't even remember the real estate agent's name like 3 years later. That's a huge miss. I mean, these are big opportunities. And so
let me give it to you. Let me give you to the one I heard. It was something like 90% of homeowners say they will use their real estate agent again, but only 13% do.
And there's two main reasons for that. One is they don't remember. Two is perceived indifference.
Yeah.
And perceived indifference is a fancy way of saying they don't think they actually care. So one of the things that we need to do, we're all consumers. We all buy stuff as well. And so if we put ourselves in the shoes of our customers and say, what makes us feel good? What's the warm and fuzzy that makes me feel like I want to go back to this person or go out of my way to refer my coworker or my friend or my neighbor? You got to go meet them. See, it's not Jeff, the lender. It's Jeff, my lender. And it's a different level of energy. And when you graduate to that, you just exclude all the competition that's around them and you get to tap into their network. And so there's a lot of little things. And when I said earlier, you earn referrals by how you show up in people's lives, what you really need to do is audit how you're showing up in people's lives. Are you recognizing, appreciating, and celebrating them? Because of social media, of what you guys have out there, we get to follow people's lives on social media. So like, heck, Jeff, when I see that you guys are out in Utah and you guys are going skiing with your family, heck, I might grab a picture and put it on a card and say, man, looks like you guys had a great time as a family. Will you ever throw away that picture? Answer is no. And though it can be creepy if I don't know you, like if I'm trying to recruit you into my organization because, when you're doing that kind of stuff, that could actually be a deterrent, but it's also in how you do it too. You want to be genuine and authentic in your approach. Chapter 5 of our book is called Chocolate Frosted Dog Crap. Now we changed the name from shit to crap because we tried to be a little bit. We probably should have kept it. But the whole idea of this is,
I would have said keep it. Absolutely. Keep it.
I know. I should have. And there was a big big time person that said like, hey, I would love to have you guys use my testimonial. He read our book, and then on the back he just said, hey, I need you to change chapter 5 because I'm talking to professional people. I'm like, if I was to look back, I should have said, heck with it, we'll take your quote off the back of our book and keep it.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of this is, are you reaching out to celebrate or appreciate or congratulate somebody, or are you trying to reach out to get something in return? I'll give you an example. So if I was to send you a birthday card, Jeff, and said, hey, happy birthday, hope everything's going great with your businesses and your family. And at the bottom, I put P.S. The greatest compliment in the world is a warm referral. Oh, by the way, Jeff, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Like, it negates the whole message. Now you
Yeah.
receive it and you're like, oh, this is really cool. Curtis cares about me. This is a nice birthday. I don't get cards in the mail anymore. My aunt used to send it to me, and maybe she's no longer with us and I don't get cards in the mail anymore. This is nice. And then at the bottom, it slaps you. It's like, oh man, it's like me from across the room saying, hey, here's a piece of chocolate cake with frosting on it. And I bring it up to you and I set it in front of you. How long do you realize that that's not chocolate cake?
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
It's crap. It's insincere. It's disingenuous. It goes in the garbage. It's what we say, sending out propaganda. And so, so with that being said, it's like you're trying to get something when you're trying to like celebrate them or appreciate them, congratulate them. And so it completely takes that message and becomes more of a marketing message. It goes in the garbage, and it doesn't land with that warm and fuzzy, and it doesn't make me want to go out of my way. Just leave the last line off. If you do the right thing, you earn the business. You just shouldn't always have to ask for the referral. Deserve it.
Dude, I love this topic because I speak it all the time. And not to digress too far, but in one of my messages, one of my hardcore messages lately is, and I'm seeing it like I'm not just making this up, but I'm seeing consumer sentiment towards real estate. Like you saw the lawsuit that went down in November, and then you see the comments of consumers on real estate posts, and it is nasty. Like, just get the hell out of my life. I don't need you. You're a paper pusher, that sort of thing. And so I've kind of taken upon myself, like, I'm going to just start dropping messages and telling people and preaching this stuff, because what you said is so spot on. The real estate industry in my world, in the social media world, has rushed to social media. And I don't think it's their fault. I think they were taught incorrectly, but they were taught to rush and spam, rush and sell. Everything should be about selling. And I know some of the coaches doing this. I despise them for saying this stuff because they don't know what they're talking about. It's a social connection tool. And going back to mailing out cards, going back to dropping somebody a message. I love that you said this. Like, you could send me a message with, and I want to go back to that creepy one about the Utah photo. You grab a family photo from my social media, you send it to me, and you say, I hope you had a great trip, blah, blah, blah. You say all this genuine stuff, but then you drop a, hey, don't forget, I do this, or I sell this, or in a referral. Like, I want to drive this home. Like, because I agree with you. Like, stop doing this. So, I mean, I don't know if we can beat it home anymore, but what is your take on the consumer's perception? You called it propaganda. You called it, it's the stuff that's going to go in the trash. It becomes disingenuine, right? Is there anything more to say about that? And this is me just trying to really drive this point home.
Appreciation marketing at its highest level is that what is appreciation marketing? Really, when you boil it down, it's reaching out to appreciate, celebrate, or congratulate somebody without expectation of getting something in return. And as business owners and as business people, what do we want? We want people to think of us, right? Yes, we want people to think of us, but we also want people to think of us about us with a smile and have a little bit of a warm and fuzzy around it. If it feels a little slimy, if it feels disingenuous, like those are the types of people that are going to get less business. They're going to earn less business. And yes, they might, because of all of what they do, they like what you do, like I mentioned before, you can generate leads. But if you want to build a career in anything, you want to build relationships. And I know that gets thrown out a lot because people are like, what do you do? Oh yeah, build relationships. What do I do? Every time I see him, I give him a big hug. Do I got to buy him dinner every quarter? Like, what do I need to do? No, there's things that you can do that don't cost any money, and just be different. Like everybody posts on Facebook and hey, happy birthday, or post a picture or something like that. Why don't you pick up the phone and call them?
Yeah.
They might not pick up, but leave them a voicemail. Let them hear your voice.
Yeah.
You can text them. You can do things off the
Send
platforms
a video message.
Send a
Yeah.
video message is huge. Absolutely. And put their name in it. So it's
Yeah.
not just a copy and paste.
Yes. God, I hate when people do that. I hate when they create a canned I can tell they send this out to everyone. God, I hate that.
That's in alignment with
Yeah.
opposite of what we teach,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I understand scalability. I understand like there's some automations. We have automations in AM cards,
Yeah.
and like before we even got on this, we talked about that.
Yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
people that really despise of what I do, and we can talk about that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think and I guess to wrap that piece up, I mean, not everyone's going to agree, and here's the deal: is that what Curtis and I are saying, we're not telling you this as though it's the Bible,
Right.
but I think I know I can speak for Curtis when I say that you're probably gonna, when you lay your head on the pillow at night, when you succeed in business, you're going to feel a lot better about it. And for me, Curtis, it was very simple. I was a very successful mortgage lender for many, many years, and still in somewhat connected to the industry, but nothing like I was. And I looked at my career at one point and said, this isn't sustainable. And what I was referring to was the constant grind, the constant grovel, the constant kiss ass, and only being as good as my last deal. And I was like, there's got to be a more sustainable way to stay top of mind and be genuine and all those things. And I found that through video and social media. But I think that's the bigger point here, is understanding that, listen, if you like being a grinder, if you're kind of, and I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it, because I'm going to say it. If you like the used car salesman mentality and you just like pounding away and constantly doing that, you know what? Do you? But I like my chances against you, because if I go to the same consumer that you go to and I just hit them with gratitude and hit them with, being genuine, and I'm never asking for business, I think I steal that customer from the person who does it the other way.
Yeah, he's not going to turn that stranger into a friend.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm a big, I don't mind, like when people that want to go grind it and make the phone calls, call the physicals, call the expireds, do it, do what works. Or if it's working for somebody else and somebody's mentoring you and saying, this is what I did to build my business, I don't knock any of that stuff. What I'm saying is complement that
Yeah.
with an appreciation marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're bringing these people into your funnel, when you're bringing these people into your life, and then you're adding value, and then you stay in touch and follow up. I've had a lot of friends that have come to me that tried to sell me something, and then maybe they weren't successful right away, but it was the way that they kept showing up in my life that I gave them an opportunity later on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah, I love it. And this goes back to, honestly, the godfather of this group, Tristan. I mean, that one of the reasons why I was so drawn to Tristan is because of his kindness, because it's always give, 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 and he never asks. And if anything, he and I as business owners have said, like, our biggest fault is that we don't sell. We just give. And lucky for us, opportunities come to us. But if there's one thing that we really need to improve on, it is asking for it. There is an element of that is necessary, but and maybe we're just the extreme in the sense that we're just givers and we just enjoy giving, and we're confident that it will come back to us. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily the greatest business strategy for everyone. And so let's get deeper into really what AM Cards does and how it works. And I'd like to kind of hear about really where it began and then how it's evolved into what it is today. And then let's talk about some strategies that you see working.
Absolutely. And I'm going to touch on real quickly before we transition into that, of what you were saying, give, 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 give. I'm a big advocate. Yes, ask for the referral and do it at the right time. There's a time and a place to ask for it. So after you get done at that closing table and you give them a hug and, congratulate them, let that not be the last contact for months to come. Making sure that you're checking in on them from time to put it in your follow-up process 60 days later, or do something. But with those things, that's the perfect opportunity to say, my business is built primarily on referrals, and I have a huge favor to ask of you. And that's that when they're like, yeah, whatever you need, what is it? And that's where collect that review, that testimonial, ask them if they could please do a huge favor and click this link and write a review. There's another one I would recommend is saying, hey, would it be okay if I gave you a call like once a quarter at the very least, just in case you bump into anybody at church or at work that's interested in buying or selling. That would mean the world to me. And then that way, when you make that phone call, it's not like, hey, how's Johnny doing in baseball? How's Samantha doing in dance class? Like, and then at the end, switching it around and asking for, referral stuff. If you preface it like that, you could build a great business, and they know that it's coming. Hey, just checking in. And that has worked a lot for a lot of, I'm not a coach. I'm not a mentor I just put videos out and share some of those best practices, and it works. And how does it work? Because I know that people use it on me. And it works because I flip the script around. So you mentioned like how kind of AM cards came to be.
Yeah.
And then what else would you like me to ask or answer?
Kind of how it evolved, and then what we're doing today that you weren't maybe doing in the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah. So when we got started, I really wanted to make it simple because I know that it's simplicity scales, and it's got to be simple. I didn't want somebody to log in and have to spend 30 minutes to create a greeting card. If you want to put a quick picture on a card or choose a card, go ahead and do it. You can use your own signature and brand it coming from you and your brand instead of coming from us. So you can change AM cards on the back of the card, put your own brand, your website, all that kind of stuff. So that's how we started. And then the fastest way for me to get in front of a lot of people, because I didn't have a marketing budget, I bootstrapped it, was I cold call real estate brokers. And I offered value of taking my book and coming up with some different ideas around building and strengthening and creating relationships for repeat and referral business. So I went into brokerages, and then the back end, I had my service that I would sell. And so it was pretty simple. I was building it up, and then I ended up having to take a strategic job. I took a job for a reason, and I built wonderful relationships. And looking back was probably the best thing that I probably did, because I learned a lot in that time frame. And then I came back to AM cards, and then we exploded it based off of that strategy. Yet when COVID hit, 99% of our business came from being on stages. And you saw me at the Lab Coat Agents.
Yeah.
I had my 7-10 minutes on stage, and everybody rushed to the table. I probably signed up 80 people that day.
Yep.
And so it was awesome.
Yep. I think
When
you gave away
COVID hit,
brownies. I think you gave away brownies,
I did.
actually.
I think I probably gave away a copy of my book, some brownies, and
Yeah,
that always
yeah.
helps. I say, if you don't do it for the cards and you don't do it for the book, do it for the brownies.
There you go. Yeah.
And so anyway, that happened. And then when COVID hit, we had to pivot like a lot of businesses did. We really started focusing on our API. And so focusing on integrating with technology. So we connected with Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, Monday, Pipedrive, so we can build AM cards into workflows. And then Follow Up Boss, Tristan actually introduced me to Dan. And Dan said, oh, this is perfect opportunity. It's right. We're launching our apps. And so we integrated with Follow Up Boss and create, so when somebody changes the stage to closed, it automatically triggers a 3 to 5 year campaign. Happy home anniversary, happy birthday, checking in. So we can build out these touch points long after the sale. It's very highly personalized because it's own signatures, and it's a nice message. We had dynamic merge fields, so we can put in different things. And so all that was awesome. And then, we grew and had, tens of thousands of real estate agents on our platform, a lot of lenders, financial advisors, insurance agents. Why? Because in this space, they talk a lot about repeat referral business, taking care of your clients. Not all of them do it.
Yeah.
However, we're there in that conversation. And then when COVID hit, we focused on that, but then also it was a great opportunity too, because it's not just real estate. We work with all types of businesses, and my business partner, Aladdin, has a couple of car dealerships that he's been in the car business for 20 years. And we felt there was a tremendous need to be able to bring there. So we spun off and created another brand underneath AM Cards called dealercards.com, Dealer Cards. And that is specifically for the automotive space. So when a finance manager marks a deal, it automatically triggers a long-term follow-up, branding the dealership and the GM or owner principal, not technically the salesperson, because they're going to a lot of more turnover in sales, of course. And so we do that, and that's been a really great thing. And then now, I'm having talks with, leadership we've done national deals with Keller Williams and working on national deals with EXP, and a lot of other brokerages have come to us because, especially in these times right now, things have shifted a little bit, and people are going back to saying, hey, business came a little bit easier for several years, and now we actually have to work at it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. But I have to just take a complete steer. Did you say your business partner was Aladdin?
Yes, his actual.
And you're based out of Orlando, the home of Disney. What's the irony in that? Okay, that's does he like ride on a magic carpet to work? Come on.
The hilarious part is that's how he opens up every one of us. He's like, yes, I did fly in on my magic carpet. So he's on stage, one of the best stage guys. He's amazing on stage as far as speaking. And yeah, he's
classic.
incredible.
That's classic.
Yeah.
What's
And
that's
go
funny.
figure, his sister name is Jasmine that actually named them.
Oh, stop it. Come on, parents. What are you doing?
Love it.
I love it. Okay, cool. So let's talk about I love where this is going. I love what you're doing. Let's get a little bit more specific. So let's talk about two different styles here. You mentioned all the APIs, the automation. You mentioned how when somebody sets all of this up. So here I am, individual, a real estate agent with XYZ real estate company. It's built into my FUB or whatever platform I'm using. Close the transaction, and I'm going to send out X number of cards over 3 to 5 years. Is there set campaigns, or do I get to choose the metrics or the dates when I send them out?
You get to choose everything. So
Okay.
you get to customize it, build it yourself. We do have a professional services division that for a little bit more of a fee, but really just covers the cost of all the designs and our staff launching it. But we can actually connect Zapier. If it's a Zapier connection, we can help somebody create that automation. Because let's face it, a lot of teams are very busy and they love to do this stuff. They have guilt around not doing it. And so for, $400 or $500, we could build it all out for them, integrate it, and then create that hands-free solution. But yet we also have a membership for $39 a month that comes with $40 of credits. It rolls over for a year. And so and it saves 50% off the cards. So the cards are like $1.57 plus a stamp, so that's what the current pricing is for doing. Stamps are now 68 cents. So it's $2.25 a card. So very inexpensive way to put a card in the mail, and we do all the work. Now, when you mention the automations, yes, that is a big part. I love that opportunity. I mean, when I sign up a new member, I send in 3 years of birthday cards, 3 years of Can you believe it's already been 2 years since you signed up with AM cards? And thank you so much for your business. We appreciate you. Scan this QR code for a free gift or something like that. And we're literally giving. Here's a free download of our book. Here's this free training on referral secrets, something like that. Now, that's great. Now, when I'm doing my speaking and doing some keynotes and stuff, one of the things I say, if you could take one thing away from this presentation, I would recommend that you put together an appreciation marketing strategy. And here's where I want you to start. There's a lot of things you can do and you can get overwhelmed. But if you're going to break it down, and this is where I love the direction that you're taking on this podcast, because bringing it back to something like this where they could say, oh, that's the one thing I did, and that's the only thing I did, and I got tremendous results. Whether you use AM cards or not, whether you go to Walmart, Walgreens, or use AM cards, you can do this. So here's what you're going to do. First thing you're going to do is time block appreciation marketing. And I took this from The One Thing by Gary Keller. I love that book. And he's like, make this your one thing that you do for, I say, make it one thing that you do for 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes a week. And everybody can carve out 30 minutes in a week. The problem is if you don't put something in that slot to actually do, it will get filled up by something else, right?
Yeah.
So here's what you're going to
Surfing
do over the
social
next
media, probably.
Probably, exactly. Which, and which is great. I think that one of the things that we say is like, be remembered, not deleted. You're remembered when you show up in a mailbox as long as you do it the right way. Emails get deleted, text messages get deleted. I think my text messages become into my new spam. I feel like politicians and all kinds of stuff is blowing me up. So going back to an appreciation marketing strategy, here's what I'd recommend that you do for the next 7 days. When you see something on social media that's worthy of putting a card in the mail, screenshot it, add it to your notes, email it to yourself, and don't open it. And when a week, because in reality, we'd say, oh, I'd love to send a card every day. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Like right. This company, I would love to say I send a card every day. I do, but those are on automation. But the one-off cards, the ones that, so I'll give you an example. Maybe somebody just ran a half marathon or somebody ran a marathon. They raised a bunch of money. You saw them training for the last 6 months. And this is such a big event for them. They crossing the finish line. They have that picture posted. That's not going on print. A good chance. And especially, so put it on a card and say congratulations and just keeping it that way. Somebody loses a loved one or their dog passes away. Send them a card, put the Rainbow Bridge poem on the inside. There's all these different, somebody got promoted or sold their first house. Just, whatever it may be, look at these opportunities to congratulate, celebrate, or recognize and do those consistently week in and week out. You're going to realize that 30 minutes might push to an hour, or you might have another 30-minute time block, because what you're getting back in return is these phone calls. And when you're sending cards lead to conversations, and conversations always lead to opportunities. Not every conversation leads to opportunities, but more conversations you have, the more opportunities that are going to come up, which is a direct relationship to how much business you're going to close. And so, I mean, we have a real estate agent in Michigan, for instance, that only sends birthday cards with our system. We've been doing it since 2019 and does upwards of 7 to 8 deals every year. And I asked her, what's your average commission? She said about 10,000. She's in a suburb of Detroit, and she says on average about 10,000. So I mean, you're telling me that you got $400,000 in GCI over the last several years just from sending birthday cards? She says, yep. And she goes, now I'm going to start adding on some other stuff because I see what you guys are doing and it makes sense.
And yeah, and when you really think about it, I don't get birthday cards anymore in the mail. Like I might have an aunt. Actually, I did have an aunt. She just passed away a few months ago. And I would thought to myself, like, it's the end of me receiving mail, because like that was the only, and now it's old school, right? She's in her 80s. Yeah, gosh, you don't think about that. It's so basic, so simple. But just be the agent that sends out a birthday card, because we don't guess what we do receive? Postcards with their latest listing. But what we don't receive is a damn birthday card. That's amazing.
Yeah. And if you take it one step further, and like, let's say I met you, and let's say we're at an event and I met your 5-year-old and, gave her a high five or something like that. And like, now I've done this before. And then next thing you know, I see you post on Facebook saying, oh my God, 6 years gone by too fast. Happy birthday, my little angel. Imagine if I took that picture and sent it to your daughter and sent it from Cinderella or sent it from Belle. I've done this before, and I signed it, Love Cinderella, put the return address, Walt Disney World and stuff like that. It comes from me. It's coming from me. Mean the world to her. I've done this. My niece, when she turned 6 years old, she lost her first tooth, and I sent it from the Tooth Fairy. She brought it to school, and all the other kids were wondering why the Tooth Fairy didn't send them a card. It was a big smile of missing the tooth on the front, put the Tooth Fairy. I put toothfairy.com on the back of the card, and like those types of things. Like, yeah, it took a few extra minutes, something they'll never forget, and more importantly, the mother will never forget that.
That's for sure. Wow. Yeah,
it's just taking it to the next level. It's deep. And everybody's working on this next transformation campaign, drip campaign. Let's conquer the world. When you bring it back to saying that one-to-one, and just, you don't have to do so, no matter how much you do, you always feel like I could do more.
Yeah.
However, just do it consistently, repeatedly. It will start growing your business.
Sure.
Big time.
So, all right, let me go back to some questions then, because, I mentioned the automation. Can you optimize, or can you set it up your own way? You mentioned that it's going to come from their signature. So we would, is it just a signature, or is it actually following handwriting, or what's the story with that?
That's great. So what I've realized is probably about a third of the people I talk to really despise their own handwriting. And that's one of the reasons why they don't even send cards.
Yeah.
And so they'll be honest about it. The other 2/3, some of them don't care that it's their own handwriting, and some of them really do. And I would say probably 5% say, like, I really love my handwriting and I want to use that.
Like,
so we
Tristan has the most perfect handwriting, by the way.
So here's what we can do. This is well, thank you for sharing that. And because one of the things that you can do now, I implemented it we actually had a car dealership, and they were going to be a big client, and they said, I want my own handwriting. So I tasked my programmers, and we actually have a form now. You can fill it out, and you fill it out 5 times. And the reason why you fill it out 5 times, all the numbers, all the, characters, and all the uppercase, lowercase, we scan it into the system, remove the background, of course. But when you write a message and you write I appreciate you, the P next to the other P on a keyboard with a certain font, the P is exactly the same. We have the ability to use like AI and every other character that says that P and P is slightly different. And the way that it's scanned in, it looks amazing. Like, you really have to take a look and say, it's their actual handwriting that we turn into a font. And then the signatures, you can write it on a piece of paper. Just take a piece of paper, write it, take a picture and upload it. We remove the background shadows, just as if you were to sign that card, and it's a vector. So you can make it bigger, smaller, and it doesn't lose the integrity of that signature. Or if you want to do it faster, you can take your iPhone or iPad and sign your name with a stylus, or sign your name and it's instantly in the system. You get as many signatures as you want. So it could be Uncle Jeff, it could be Daddy, it could be Jeff, it could
Got it.
be it could be all different types of signatures as well.
If I accidentally send out a daddy card to a female agent and that gets back to my wife, I'm dead. So just I'm probably not going to use
Just
daddy in the
don't
system.
choose the Big Daddy.
All
Yeah.
right. So that's good to know. What about, you mentioned the option, and actually I remember this because I had a bunch of LOs that signed up for it, and now I'm curious if they're still doing it. The $40 a month deal and you could just go in and I remember because they were doing them one-off to clients, when they would get a
Yes.
closing. So it was nothing automated. It was just congratulations. And I think I remember they were going to social, grabbing a picture, maybe even sending the closing photo. They would take the picture, post it to social, then send it. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that. Talk about that option versus maybe other options that agents are using within AM cards.
Well, I mean, I love that one-off card, and putting the $39 a month, like you said. The reason why we do a membership is because if you had to send one card at a time, the transaction fees plus the what the credit card processing companies charge. So I 50% off on the cards by having a membership, but we also bonus $40 of credits a month with $39. So it's like 17 or 18 cards in essence they can kind of send for free. And those credits, they roll over for an entire year. So they roll over. And not only can you use it for cards, postage, you also can send gourmet fudge brownies, cookies. We have other gifts that you
That
can
just
send.
comes out of does that come out of your $40? Okay, got it.
That's right. I mean, we have customers spend thousands of dollars a month, obviously.
Sure.
We keep it low. So then that way, they have an appreciation marketing tool in their back pocket.
Yeah. It's a low
so they
barrier
can
to
use it
entry to test it out.
easy. And we do actually, my team that helped set up this interview, we have a link that I'll send to you that will, because online it's $199 system license. When I speak live on stages, part of the reason to help people get started that day is I waive the entire $199 system license. They can just start for $39. That's it. And there's no contracts. So I have a link that people can get started with. They'll waive the $199. They can have it for $39. No contracts. Send some cards. Love it. Keep it.
We'll put it in the show notes. So if you're watching or listening to this, just go to the show notes and we'll put it in the show notes.
Perfect.
Now, for the agent who does it, who's still like the overachiever and writing handwritten notes, why should they switch from that? Like, I think they probably are thinking to themselves, well, my way's better than doing something through a company. Explain to me why I might need to change the way I think.
I love that. Thank you for asking that question, because I think a lot of interviewers, they'll shy away even though they think they think about it, but they don't want to like ruffle my feathers or something. My first thing I would say to them is don't ever stop. You're top 1%. If you're sending cards and handwriting cards, don't ever stop. Like that's an amazing thing that you're doing. They get saved, they get remembered, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
What I would say to them is look into AM cards to complement what you're currently doing, because there's things that you can do with pictures. Pictures are more emotional and they get saved, they get remembered, and there's a lot of opportunities I already shared on this podcast, some different opportunities. And I'm sure that whoever's listening, they get to this point, they say, oh, I can't do that with my current system. Or I just forgot a stamp, or you might have thank you cards, but you don't have a sympathy card sitting over in this drawer. Well, go grab a sympathy card online and maybe put something in there and write a little message and get it in the mail, because it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. That's a good answer. You didn't rebut it. You said, keep doing it. I love it. But I love what you also said, because that's what I was thinking to myself was the handwritten note is great, but just like anything, even if you have and I say this about social strategies, even if you have the greatest videographer with the greatest editing features, if you do the same thing repetitively over and over and over again, it becomes white noise. So although that card with your handwritten note is unique and special, it kind of becomes white noise over time, and you need to pattern interrupt. This is what I teach on social strategies. It's like if you're always in your car recording not the same message, but it's always the same background, it becomes white noise because people, it's the same thing. And they don't even give it a chance. You got to pattern interrupt. And I would say the same thing with cards, which is where I can go into social, copy paste. I assume just copy pasting, saving a picture from their profile, essentially, uploading it into AM cards, and bam, now I sent out something massively unique and very personal.
And it's also kind of fun too, because people post some funny, I turn like memes online and different funny GIFs. I
Yeah.
turn them into cards, and it makes people laugh their ass off.
Yeah.
It's like they're posting that for a reason, get people's, reaction. And then you send it to them in the mail, and it's hilarious. Or I see something different that's in alignment with their views, and I'll send it out as well, or send birthday cards from their the politician that they hate and put it on the front of the card with a bubble out of their head and do something funny, like
I
it's
wonder.
just
I wonder
funny.
how many people took the Travis Kelce meme of him jumping down his coach's throat and put that on a card. I saw it all over social. I don't know if I'll see it on a card.
That would be funny. You gotta be careful with some of that stuff, obviously, but I think that it's all in alignment with being authentic and genuine to who you are. If this is the
Yeah.
kind of stuff that you do, it's
When you
it's
say be
fun.
careful, you mean like licensing, or
Well,
logo?
that's one, yeah, trademarks, licensing, stuff like that. You do. And now I've sent cards, and it's not that I'm trying to sell it. Like, I can't take a Derek Jeter picture, put it on my system for you to send to somebody else. That would be illegal, because the Yankees or Derek Jeter owns that picture. And so therefore I'm not paying a royalty. So that's in my terms and conditions state like, hey, this is you. What you're sending out is on you, kind of thing. Not on us. However, if I put that in my system, that would be illegal. Now, I sent greeting cards with Cinderella on the front and wish somebody a happy birthday, like my niece or something like that? Yes, I've done that before, but I'm not selling that image and stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same as if I took it, I posted it online or something. So
Gotcha.
there's yeah, but yeah, when I say be careful, I would say I wouldn't necessarily want to blanket a meme that might offend people and send it out to my entire database.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I'm
that
talking
might that
maybe
might not
one-off
be.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Send that to a 49ers fan just to really get under their skin. Maybe. I don't know. Um,
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, cool. I love it. I love it, man. This is there's a lot of places we could go with this. And I think this definitely probably inspired a lot of ideas, inspired my own ideas, because I wrote down some ideas even for what I should be doing for my business with this. So this has been great. Now you mentioned there's going to be a promo code or a promo link where it's going to waive what is the fee that it's waiving?
There's a $199 system license online that they
Got it.
purchase, and it comes with the first month of membership. What we'll do is we'll waive the 199. Well, it will just start for 39. Just if they're
Got
and
it.
you get 40 bucks in credits to start sending. So
Awesome. Okay.
in
And
essence,
then and then that membership, explain the membership now. So it's $40 a month, $39 a month. Is that how it works?
yep. And then every month that you're a member, we bonus you $40 in credits. And those
Dope.
bonus credits are good for 12 months. We use the oldest credits first.
So
So
you're gaining 40 credits every month? Is that
that's
what I hear?
right. If you pay
Wow.
39, you get 40. If you don't send anything for 10 months, you're sitting at 400 bucks, and now you got your holiday cards.
There's you go.
You can
Yeah.
send all your holiday cards out with one. We've
Yeah.
had a lot of people that just dump all their credits in Christmas time or something.
Yeah. They get busy or whatever. Yeah. This
Yeah.
almost like something that you have to build in a cadence of some sort around. And that's where automation obviously comes into play. But I agree with you. I agree. I don't love automation at its core, but automation in a sense where you're using automation to send authentic messages, birthday, anniversary, home anniversary, kids' birthdays, dog birthdays, whatever, right? That's different. And I love how you do that. And I love the integrations. If somebody wants to learn more, if they're curious, like I'm with Keller Williams or I'm with EXP and I want to know more about this. What do you suggest they do? How do they find out
Well,
more?
the best thing to do, you can go to amcards.com and you can sign up for free. So, like, yes, we can waive the 199 and then get started if you heard enough and you want to get started. And however, if they say, I would like to just kind of poke around and see what AM Cards is all about, sign up for free and
Yeah.
then send your first card. I put enough credits in the account to send your first card anywhere in the United States for free. Put pictures on it,
Yeah.
play around, upload your contacts. You can put a CSV file. So you can put a CSV file and send a card to an entire group or send a campaign to a group. So I think that would be the best thing. I like for people to poke around, and then you'll most likely get contacted by somebody from our team that says, hey, would you like to hop on and learn more one-on-one or a one-to-many live training? We do those weekly, so they can ask questions and get into the system.
Perfect.
And
Awesome.
then for the people that are elevated, people that are at the next level that says, I just absolutely love this. I've been thinking about this for years, or I'm very inconsistent with doing this stuff. Then I would recommend our pro package. It's $400 or $500, and then we build it out and work one-on-one to help launch it, which
Yeah.
is valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. And if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
I have Curtis at amcards.com is my direct email address. If you have anything that you want to reach out, there's follow on social media if you'd like. That's one thing that I'm doing a better job of. I've
Nice.
kind of been behind the scenes and working on the business so much, in the business so much. Now it's I've made some key hires recently that's going to allow me to be out there a little bit more, because it's having that obviously that social media presence is so powerful, like you talk about, and we need to do more of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's most omnipresence you can gain in the world. But it's not the only presence you should have. And I wholeheartedly agree that having a mailbox presence is one of the most important ones. So Curtis, dude, this is awesome. I love having this conversation. I wish we had more time. I could keep going. But that's all we got for today. I think this is definitely some inspiration for a lot of people, and you should definitely get over to amcards.com. And again, check out the promo link and in the show notes. And let's go mail out some cards in 2024. How about that?
I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much for the opportunity today.
Lab Coat Agents Podcast.